and welcome to Steve's Heritage Kitchen for another episode of Stuff in the Kitchen. Today, I've been meaning to make a short video on this for a while now, but I haven't. So I'm going to do that today. In front of me, I have a pork butt from the supermarket, one of my favorite cuts of meat, because it's so versatile. I mean, you can do anything with it, from pulled pork to pork steaks to capicola to any kind of sausage you can possibly imagine, and it's all right here. You almost don't need anything else except for your spices and your recipe. So this is what you're looking for in the supermarket. This is a Packer brisket. You don't want them to mess with it. So if it's been taken out of its package and put on a the butcher styrofoam and wrapped in plastic, they've probably cut some of the fat off. They've probably done some other things, and you want this whole thing because you're going to use all of it. I'm going to unwrap this, rinse it off a bit, and then we're going to get carving. Okay, so here we have it. It's unwrapped and ready to be cut on. I rinsed it and I dabbed it off with some paper towels. What you're going to need is a good sharp knife. This is a boning knife, and so is this. This is for finer work, and this is for not so finer work. But any knife that's about this shape with that size blade will work just fine. It just needs to be sharp. And you should have one of these just to keep the edge nice and sharp. Every now and then you should do that as you're cutting, because every time you hit the board with the blade, you dull it a little bit. And if you're cutting meat, you really want the sharpest possible knife. When you cut, you want it to go exactly where you aim it. And so anyway, I'm going to bring you up closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so here we are. Here's the piece of meat. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It usually has a fat cap on this side. All good stuff. If you're making sausage, you want plenty of fat. And this piece of meat has most of the fat you're going to need for making sausage. You don't really need to add. I've been making sausage for a while, and I don't usually add any extra pork fat, and the sausage turns out just fine. You can always add, your experience will tell you, but I always have good luck. So there's a couple ends to this thing. This is the coppa end, and that's the end up by the backbone. And you can tell that end because you'll see these striations that sort of look like ribs. And that form is there because that's where they come from, right up against the backbone. So this is your coppa end. This is where you get the capicola, and we're going to cut that off because that's one thing that we can do. In fact, that's now let's take the bone out first. So this is the bone end. This is that, if you were going to do pork steaks, they would cut them like this, and that would be that Y bone that you see in your pork steaks. But in order to do that, you really need a saw, a bandsaw, which I don't have. I have a regular saw, and I could cut them, but you can get a few steaks out of this without interacting with the bone. You can get a few steaks, some parts of it for sausage, and the coppa. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this bone out. So let's just see if we can do this. And you want to try to follow the bone as close as you can. You can kind of see on the outside where the bone ends, where it comes out. So you kind of use that for a guide as to where you're going to cut. There's the end, so we're going to go around the end like this. There we go. And here's this end, so I'm going to come around this end too. Just like that. And come around the back side of it and try to hug the bone as much as possible because we don't want to waste any of the meat. But even if you don't, even if you end up with a little meat and it's not exactly, you can always, you're going to make sausage out of a lot of this, so it doesn't hurt if you have a few hunks left on the bone that you want to just take off and mix in with your sausage meat. So yeah, we're going to come around here and we're going to follow this bone behind, hopefully, till we find the end of it, which should be right in this vicinity. And then we're going to come underneath and behind, and we're going to free this bone. Set it free. That's what we're going to do. Set it free from its confines here in this piece of meat. And there we have it. Okay, so as I said, well, this little piece comes out of here. And I do have a little meat left on it, so what we're going to do is just going to... The important thing is that you keep your hand, one of the important things, out of the way of the meat. You do not want your hand, out of the way of the knife. You do not want your hand in contact with the knife. So take care, take your time. There's no hurry to any of this. So there's the bone. We're going to set that aside. And here's some of the meat. Now I'm going to go over to my larger knife. And as we get pieces that we know we're not going to do anything but make sausage, I'm going to throw it in my sausage bucket. Okay. Now, this side is the copper muscle. There is a seam that runs along here that, if you follow it, you will end up with just the copper muscle. And what we're going to do is we're really just going to try to cut this off in a manner that leaves us with a nice copper muscle, which is right here. And I'm going to just take and make this, round this off so that we don't need all this fat on here, so we're going to take this off. This is good for the sausage. And this right here is a lot of fat on the outside that we don't really need. So we're going to kind of cut that off. Yeah, so we want to end up with a nice little round ham-like piece of meat that is, in fact, a capicola. And so a lot of times these ends are a little bit gnarled up because that's the way they come from the butcher. So I like to square them off. And can you see this? Yeah. Alright, so we're going to, I'm going to take a little bit more of this off because, like I said, we don't need all this fat on the outside. It's a pretty well marbled piece of meat, the way it comes, so you don't really need any extra pieces. But again, all of this makes for great sausage. And we're going to tie this when it's either cooked or aged. There's two ways to make coppa. There's the kind you buy in the supermarket for lunch meat, and it's going to look like that on the inside. That's, if you see that kind of configuration, that's capicola. And so I'm going to leave this here now, and I'll show you what to do with it in a minute. Take this little ridge off of here. Okay. Good, nice and neat. Now, what we have here is the meat without the bone. Now, let's see, how far in can I go? The last time I took the steaks off of here, but I think I'm going to try this. They're going to be smaller because they usually start off at this end, but we're going to be able to, also the bones in these, some are larger, some are smaller, depending on who the guy is that chopped it up. And sometimes they're kind of chopped up. So I'm going to even out this end here. And that we'll just put in the sausage bucket. And then, that's a little bit. So now we're going to start taking, here we go, paper towel. So now I'm going to start taking some steaks off of here. Now, they're not going to be the big steaks, but it's not that hard to do. So let's see. You just kind of envision the thickness that you want, and just, if your knife is sharp, you should be able to get right down through here and make yourself a nice steak. Now, you can square it up, but I think that's fine the way it is. So that's one. Now we're going to do this again. And there's two. Three. Alright, so that right there is 4 nice steaks. I could probably get another one, but it's kind of, probably get another one. But it's gonna, I'll cut it off, because I can always cut it off for sausage. But I think this is gonna have a cut in the middle, and then we'll just see if it's savable or not. Alright, how do we do? Alright, so you could use, that's a nice piece of meat. You could use that for a steak. So that's like 5 steaks out of here. And this left for sausage, plus what we cut before, plus a capicola. Now I'm probably going to, I might save a couple of these and turn the rest into sausage. But you can see, these are nice hunks of meat. And they're whatever thickness you decide. You decide what the thickness is. You could even trim off some of this fat if you don't like that much fat on your steak. But I'm telling you, the fat is where the flavor is. And you see all of this end grain. That's going to make it a lot. Cutting it that way is going to make it a lot more tender. So we're going to set these aside. These are your nice steaks. So you get your capicola. You got your nice steaks. And now we're going to cut the rest of this up for sausage. And I have a sausage grinder. I actually have 2 sausage grinders. For about 50 bucks, you can get an electric sausage grinder that does everything you're going to want it to do. And then you can make your own sausage, and you don't have to put it in casing. You can make patties. I like to make breakfast sausage. Well, I also like to make other things, like yesterday I started, and today I turned out some andouille sausage, which I'll show you. So this is andouille sausage. It came out of the smoker earlier today. I ground the sausage and stuffed it yesterday. It needed to dry overnight, and then it's fully cooked and ready for wherever you want to put it in. Your jambalaya, your gumbo, seafood boil. And even that andouille sausage, which I put in casings, you don't have to. You can patty it up and use it that way. And if you don't have a smoker, you can bake it in your oven. It just needs to get to, in order to be, or you can just use it raw. Put it in the refrigerator and use it raw. In order to have it a little preserved, it needs to get to a temperature of about 155 degrees. And then it's fully cooked. And then you can put it in the refrigerator and use it for what you want, wherever you want. Okay, so we got our bone, we got our sausage meat right here, and we got our capicola and our steak right here. And all of this came out of one pork butt from the grocery store that was $1.19 a pound. So the whole darn thing, which like 8 pounds, was like $9 and something cents for all of that meat. So, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you what to do with the capicola. Now there's all kinds of things you can do. These anymore. There's the top of just a plastic thing so that I can. I'm going to actually rub the capicola. I'm going to make capicola, and I'm going to make the kind that that you would get in the supermarket for putting on your sub. So it's really easy to do. I will show you the recipe for this. This cure at the end, and so basically the recipe makes enough cure for like let's see, 3 or 4 pounds, 3 pounds. I don't have anywhere near that here. When you go buy the stuff at the butcher stuff at the grocery store, you get pretty much what they have, and they don't have a whole lot. But anyway, so we're gonna. All right, so how much do we have here? Okay, so we have, this is 2 pounds, not 3 pounds, so we won't need all of the cure, but you just basically put it on. So this is the cure, and this is really easy to do. You're going to put this cure on, we're going to put it in a Ziploc bag for 10 days, rinse off the cure, put on the rub, and bake it, and that's it for at about 200 degrees until the internal temperature is, like I said, 150, 155 degrees, and you're good to go. And it's gonna look like Italian ham when you get done. But that's not the only thing you can do with this. You can, in fact, use a different rub. Like this rub has this is the cure. So the difference would be I would use brown sugar instead of white sugar if I was going to do a ham, because this could be an easy little ham. And then you might put a little clove in it, or whatever you like your ham flavor to be. And then you would just simply put this on as a rub. The little flecks you see are crushed red pepper flakes, which is what they have, what they use to cure the capicola. Now you want to get this all over the place, and if there's any places that there's cuts and stuff, you want to get the cure down in there good. And you just want to cover the whole outside with it. And as you're doing this, it'll even now start sucking out some of the moisture in the meat, and then more of it will adhere. Alright, and then as you get more on here, you can sort of feel where you need a little extra. You just want to coat the whole thing nicely. And then the spillage, and like I said, you're not going to need the whole cure, because this is only 2 pounds, not 3 pounds. So there it is, it's cured, and now, well, it's not cured. It needs 10 days in the refrigerator for cured. I'm going to grab a Ziploc bag. Okay, so and on the outside of the Ziploc bag, I'm going to put the date. It needs to cure for 10 days, and I usually put the date on the outside of here and on the calendar so I have some clue. All right, so this is May something or other. I don't know what it is. It's May the, hold on, hang on just a second, 13th. Today is the 13th of May, and 10 days from today will be the 23rd. So this will be ready on the 23rd, and all you have to do after that is put the rub on and bake it, and you're done. It's the easiest thing to do, and it makes some of the best tasting lunch meat you'll ever have. All right, so here we go. We're going to put this all rubbed. Open this up as far as we can. And we're going to try to get this in like this, all the way to the bottom, and I like to get it to one side. Because you want it, I'm going to try to get all the air out of here. So we're going to just, it doesn't, I don't know that you have to, but it kind of keeps the meat close to the cure, and I think it's more guarantees that you're going to have a good cure. Now these bags are not the expensive ones, so we'll just see if we can. That's going haywire. Anyway, all right, there we go. Now, there it is in the bag with the date on it. So now what you want to do is you want to put this in the refrigerator. So it'll just sit there, and every day or so you want to turn it over. And you will see, try to keep the edge up because I don't trust these bags, but you will see the moisture come out, and the meat will get firmer, and after 10 days it'll be cured. And then all you need to do is bake it for about an hour, and it's ready to go for sandwiches. Like I said, you can massage it a little bit, but every day or so come and just flip it over like this. There you go. All right, so I'm going to back the camera. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. This is Steve's Heritage Kitchen. We've been doing pork butt. Oh, I promised you the recipe. So here's the recipe for the cure. Can you see that? Yeah. It says for 3 pounds, so you won't need it all probably, but you only be able to use so much of it because once it's covered, it's covered. So anyway, I'm going to try to get you the other part of the recipe. Hold on. Okay, so I hope you saw it. I held up the rest of the recipe. Once it's cured, once it's set in the refrigerator for 10 days, it's cured. And then all you really need to do is bake it. So I held up the sign there, so it's baked at 250 degrees for about 2 hours. But you want to watch it because these are not as big as some of them, and so it tends to get done quicker. You don't want to get it any higher than 155 degrees. 150, 155, 160 tops. So you want to watch it close because then it just turns into a roast rather than the lunch meat that you're looking for. So if you follow that, do the cure for 10 days, then those spices should be rough chopped. You can do it in a spice mill. I have a coffee grinder that I use to do that. You can use a mortar and pestle to grind them up. You can put them in a plastic bag and use a heavy pan to smush them. Whatever you need to do to get them smushed up a bit, and then put them on and bake the thing. And it's just a wonderful flavor, and you'll enjoy it. And it's kind of fun to be able to, to present it to people when they come over. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I hope to see you again next time. And this is Steve's Heritage Kitchen. Take care.